Right now at noon, rifts still remain between the U.S. and Iran as Vice President J.D. Vance heads to Pakistan for peace talks. Plus, an 8-hour-long standoff in southeast Portland ends with a suspect being brought out in handcuffs. How officers managed to get him to come out after they say he was barricaded in an apartment. And later, meet some furry friends joining us to the studio to celebrate National Pet Day. We're going to have some fun when your news starts right now. Our top story here at noon, Vice President J.D. Vance is en route to Pakistan, where this weekend he will lead the team negotiating with Iranian officials to end the war. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Tim Gordon. Vance flew out of Joint Base Andrews of Maryland earlier this morning. The high-level talks face a number of issues that could derail progress. That includes disagreements over continued Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Israel argues the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah, which is based in Lebanon, is not included in the U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal. Iran argues they are covered by the ceasefire, with Iran's semi-official news agency claiming talks would not happen unless Israel stopped its strikes. Before leaving the U.S., Vance issued a warning to Iranian negotiators.
We're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive. So we're going to try to have a positive negotiation. The president has gave us some pretty clear guidelines, and we're going to see.
Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz remains closed despite opening it, being part of this week's ceasefire deal. And developing this afternoon in Vancouver, at least one person is dead and another severely injured after what police are calling a domestic violence homicide. Vancouver police say they were called to a reported assault that appears to have happened at the Oakbrook apartment homes off Northeast Oakbrook Circle near I-205. And we have very little information at this point, but they do say a 33-year-old woman with significant knife wounds was found dead inside an apartment there. A 30-year-old man was also found with injuries officers say were self-inflicted. The man was taken to the hospital for treatment, but so far no word on his condition. Again, Vancouver police investigating this as a domestic violence homicide. If you or someone you know has experienced domestic violence, you can call the number on your screen right there. It's the Domestic Violence Hotline. It's open 24/7 at 800-799-SAFE or text the word START to 88788. An hours-long standoff in a busy southeast Portland neighborhood last night ends with a suspect in custody. Police say it all started with a report of smoke at an apartment and then escalated when firefighters were confronted at the door. Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson has more.
Yeah, police say that lasted about 8 hours here in the Richmond community and ended late last night with the suspect taken into custody uninjured. Officers got the call yesterday just after 2 in the afternoon to help Portland Fire and Rescue respond to smoke at an apartment. When firefighters got there, police say the suspect confronted them at the door with a weapon. Once investigators determined there was no active fire, Portland police then brought in their emergency and negotiation teams. Now, the incident shut down Division Street between Cesar Chavez Boulevard and 50th Avenue for several hours. After the suspect refused to interact with law enforcement, that's when police say they moved in on the suspect using drones and gas. That suspect was eventually taken into custody.
We believe he was trying to start fires in there, but the evidence will dictate whether or not there's charges related to that. So, we're looking at potentially arson in the first degree, potentially reckless burning. There may be other factors.
Now, authorities tell us no officers or firefighters were injured during that incident. They also tell us more formal charges are expected later today. Back to you.
Well, authorities are asking for your help finding a former Gresham police officer turned fugitive who is facing dozens of sex crime charges. A Multnomah County grand jury indicted Hector Carranza last year on 56 charges, including rape, sodomy, and sex abuse, all allegedly involving an underage girl. He posted bail and was released with an ankle monitor, but investigators say he cut it off last month and is now on the run. There's a nationwide warrant out for his arrest. Anyone with information should contact the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is a sexual assault survivor, help is always available. You can call the number on your screen. It's 800-656-4673 to reach the National Sexual Assault Hotline, and support is available 24/7. All right, turning to your weather headlines now with this beautiful look down on our Salem sky cam. Sunny out there. It's nice right now, but we're looking at a weather impact alert over the possibility of thunderstorms. Let's get to Chris McGinnis in the Weather Center for more on that. Chris?
Yeah, we are. And Tim, as you looked at that sky camera, you could also see some of those puffy cumulus clouds popping off in the distance from our Salem sky camera. So that's the area that we are watching late this afternoon and this evening for the development. And so, yes, as Tim mentioned, we do have a KGW weather impact alert. Late afternoon and evening is the time frame that we're focusing on for the possibility of a few thunderstorms popping in the Willamette Valley, the Coast Range, and especially in the Cascades. Steering currents may then drive those from the Cascades over the Willamette Valley. I'll show you that in a second. The possibility for brief heavy rain, obviously some lightning and thunder and gusty wind and small hail all on the table. That said, there are no active watches or alerts or anything like that. It's just the fact that we are talking about the possibility of thunder is something that will get your attention later today, I think. In fact, over the last 3 hours, we have seen an area of disturbed weather pop in southeastern Oregon, and now in the last couple of frames of radar out towards Grant County, we've had some lightning strikes. We've also got some activity developing down in the Medford area again. But for right now, nothing going on in the Willamette Valley in the I-5 corridor, but this is the area where we expect storm initiation later today, or perhaps a little east of that, where we get some rising lift out of the Cascades. And then the steering currents will likely drive those to the north and east. So later today, keep your attention focused on the southeastern sky, as the Storm Prediction Center does have that section of our state highlighted under the slight risk for active weather today. Salem again, mostly sunny, 65. It's warmer at noontime than it was yesterday at this time. Pointed to the south, 65 right now from Wells Fargo sky camera. And last check in Vancouver, up to 66 degrees. So another warm day. This will be our maybe fourth or fifth 70-degree day in the last 8 days. So a very warm stretch of weather this April. Increasing clouds this afternoon, and that chance of storms, Tim, I think we're looking at probably after 5 o'clock and more like 8 to 10 o'clock for the Portland metro area, but I'll walk you through that with Futurecast in just a few minutes.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Chris. Well, here's a look at some of your consumer headlines this afternoon. New data from the Labor Department shows inflation rose sharply last month, driven largely by high gas prices. The new Consumer Price Index shows prices rose 0.9% in March compared to February, the largest monthly increase in nearly 4 years. And prices rose 3.3% in March compared to a year ago. Roughly 3/4 of that increase is coming from gas prices, which jumped more than 21% last month as a result of the Iran war. Google has agreed to pay $135 million to settle a class action lawsuit. The lawsuit accused the tech giant of collecting Android phone users' data without their permission. Google denies any wrongdoing. If the settlement is approved, anyone who owned an Android after November 12, 2017 will be eligible to file a claim. Final approval expected in late June. And StubHub has agreed to pay $10 million to settle an FTC lawsuit, and some customers could get money back. The Federal Trade Commission says the company misled buyers by advertising ticket prices without clearly including the fees. The FTC says it warned StubHub, but the practice continued. Anyone who bought tickets between May 12th and 14th of last year could be eligible for compensation. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield presented arguments in the International Trade Court in New York today in a major lawsuit challenging President Trump's tariffs. A decision has not yet been made. Oregon is part of a coalition of more than 20 states arguing the president is using a little-known trade law in ways that it was never intended. The case centers on Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, a law that has never been used this way before, and Rayfield argues does not give the president the authority he's claiming.
If the president wants to do tariffs and use the appropriate statutes, he can do so. Congress has given him some powers. However, when you're going to twist statutes lawyerly ways, we're going to hold you accountable in court.
Rayfield also addressed Oregon's broader legal strategy and multiple ongoing legal challenges to the Trump administration, including a lawsuit targeting the president's executive order on mail-in voting. And you can catch our full conversation with the Attorney General on all of the new episodes. It's a all-new episode, I should say, pardon me, of Straight Talk tonight at 7 on KGW+.
I know what we're delivering to the community is absolutely top-notch.
For years, KGW has been investigating the long wait times for 911 dispatch in Portland, but now things seem to be improving. This week, the Bureau of Emergency Communications earned accreditation from the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch. They put BOEC in the top 10% of more than 4,000 agencies worldwide for meeting quality service standards. This comes after average wait times between 2022 and 2025 were as high as 1 minute. Now most calls are answered within 15 seconds. Average wait times for the non-emergency line have dropped from a whopping 17 minutes down to 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and that's thanks to a collaboration with 311. And people have started to notice.
That's come up in some calls that I've gotten. You know, thanks for answering my call. Thanks for taking my call. Wow, that was fast. I wasn't on hold for as long. You know, and that is a really great feeling. Morale is a lot higher because we don't have that stress.
Much better. While it's not clear why, BOEC says they've seen a drop in the number of calls they get, which has also helped bring down wait times.